The purpose of this paper is to explore the environmental impact of Western outsourcing. It will also shed light on how outsourcing of electronic waste has turned the city of Guyu, China into a waste graveyard. It will also provide recommendation on how companies can be made more accountable for the environmental protection and how we as consumers can make a difference.
Outsourcing is a major driver of globalization. Companies, when do not have the proficiency to manufacture some components of their products, hire other firms to manufacture them. Sometimes a company relocates its entire operational facility to another country, a practice referred to as outshoring. Every big company in the US or Europe outsources some part of its business. There are a number of reasons a company decides to outsource, though increasing profits through cost reduction is the principal motive that drives outsourcing. Most of the time, outsourcing is done by companies from first world countries to poor countries. The cost of labor and utilities in a developing country like Mexico or India is extremely low compared to Europe or United States. Relaxed environmental regulations in poor countries is another factor that attracts companies to relocate their business. USA outsources up to 50 to 80% of its electronic waste to developing countries. Guyu, a small town in China, has been a major hub for both legal and illegal disposal of electronic waste. Millions of tons of electronic waste from around the world is unloaded every day on the city coast. The massive influx of electronic waste has drastically impacted the town and surrounding regions' air, water, and soil quality. About 100,000 workers are involved in sorting and tearing apart of electronic equipment that include computers, televisions, telephones, microwaves, and batteries. Men, women, and children use their bare hands to break apart the electronics. The operation of breaking electronic waste to the component material is primitive and labor intensive. Since only a small portion of the electronic waste can be truly recycled, the unsalvageable part, which is mostly plastic, either ends up in open fire or landfills. High concentrations of polychlorinated biphenyls were detected in the soil of Gui, making it unfit for agriculture. Both surface water and groundwater have been found to have elevated level of heavy metals that include cadmium, mercury, lead, and copper. Lead concentration has been shown to be 8 times higher than environmental standards in surface water. Children living in the city of Yui were found to have extremely high levels of lead in their blood. Lead poisoning has been linked to mental retardation. Incidents of miscarriage and cancer due to dioxins are very common in the city of Yui. Workers involved in electronic waste disposal suffer from skin damage, ulcers, and breathing problems. Unregulated electronic waste disposal, failed environmental regulations, and worse apathy has turned Guyu into a town where water is poisonous, air is toxic, and soil is contaminated with deadly chemicals.
In 2013, the Rana Plaza in Bangladesh, which supplied many Western retailers like Walmart, collapsed, killing more than 1,200 people. This accident also exposed the environmental degradation that these factories have been involved in. Consumers have positive attitudes towards sustainability, their purchases might not reflect it. Many retail firms will outsource factories into poor countries with relaxed labor and environmental laws. Even though consumers might be against these unethical practices, they are still giving patronage to these firms due to lack of awareness. Cases like outsourcing of electronic waste in Guyi and Rana Plaza accidents have shed light on the extreme environmental negligence and unethical practices that business corporations can indulge in to achieve capital gains. Therefore, the role of consumers is becoming vital in the business world. Consumer, it is important to learn where our old television or broken mobile phones end up after we dispose it in the recycle bin. Is it handled properly and recycled by the company that manufactured it? Or is it transported to a poor country where a 10-year-old child dissects it under hazardous work conditions? Consumers have achieved success in changing industry's apathy toward the environment. After a public outcry over purchase of products made from endangered rainforests, Staples made changes to its environmental policy. Staples now recycles 30% of its paper products and no longer purchases products from the endangered forest. Of course, corporations have to play a huge role in environmental protection and implementation of fair labor laws. In an effort to suspend negative attitudes of consumers, many firms utilize the concept of corporate social responsibility. This action allows a transparent demonstration of a firm's commitment to its consumers and stakeholders. Corporate social responsibility can be best understood through Carroll's ESR pyramid, which describes four different responsibilities that a company should be committed to. The first is a business endeavor where it has an economic responsibility to turn a profit. The second is a legal responsibility where it must respect and follows the law of society. To the legal responsibility is the ethical responsibility, where a corporation must follow ethical practices even if it's not the law. The fourth and final is the philanthropic responsibility, where a company must contribute its resources towards social cause for the betterment of society. Consumers respond favorably towards companies who assume corporate social responsibility. In 2003, the sales and reputation of Gap improved considerably after it became the first retailer to publish a social responsibility report in an effort to be more transparent with its consumers.
In the last decade, business world has taken important steps towards sustainable production, environmental protection, and fair labor laws. However, there is still a need for increased transparency in the way a business functions, higher consumer involvement, and better corporate social responsibility.